Hello everybody, my name is Tom and I'm back for, oh my god, another video. This is in the lead up to the Imola Grand Prix, and I want to have a really quick look at Alonso and Ocon because I think it's a question on a lot of people's minds as to who to go for, because we probably mostly only have space for one of the Alpine drivers in our team. Some people might be trying to squeeze them both in, for example, but I think in general most of us will probably only have either Ocon or either Alonso. Now obviously in Australia, the people that went with Ocon had beaming smiles at the end of the weekend. The people who went with Alonso, well, let's just say the opposite, the opposite of a beaming smile. So, but going forward, are we gonna continue to see something like that? Is Alonso going to be picking it up? Is Ocon going to be able to maintain his current run of performances? So I want to have a quick look at a few factors which I'm deciding over, which will help me decide eventually, in combination with what happens in the practice sessions on Friday in Imola, as to who to go for the race, because I'm pretty sure I want one of these guys in my team. So let's have a quick look. So Ocon obviously is the guy on form. Let's have a quick look at the stats here. I pulled the stats up on the spreadsheet here, just sort of so we can narrow down on them. Look at the points per million, 1.61. Points per race, 20 points per race. Like fantasy points, that is, obviously. And in total 61 points. Like, the form is there for everyone to see, the value is there for everyone to see. Obviously the question is, can he maintain that? As for Alonso, he doesn't have form on his side, although perhaps he does, and he's just actually has a bit of bad luck on his side as well as the form, if that makes sense. So he's like, he has a potential there, but he's been a bit unlucky. But he definitely has experience. Like, we all know Alonso, World Championship winning driver, that he's not just going to be sitting around on 0.08 points per million in our fantasy teams for the rest of the season. That's just not going to happen. So Alonso is a great driver. He'll bounce back. But is he going to bounce back at Imola? Is it worth putting him in ahead of Ocon? That is the question we need to try and think about. If we have a look at positions gained and lost at the moment, this is a bit inflated at the moment because we've only had the 3 races, but Ocon has gained 8 points from his positions. So in general, he's kind of qualified in the sort of positions 5, 6, 7 around that area, and then he's moved up sort of 1 or 2 positions. So he's only gained 8 points, but that's not bad. It's about probably slightly above average compared to the rest of the drivers. And Alonso, however, is on minus 22 points. He's lost minus 22 points, which is why his total points here is actually just literally 1 point, because it's in terms of fantasy. So he's lost 22 points. That's a big loss. Can we expect to see more of that going forward? I think, again, a lot of that is based on some bad luck. In Australia, for example, he got screwed over by the safety car. The safety car came out at a bad time for him. He lost track position because of that, and he just couldn't make it up towards the end of the race. Also, obviously, in Saudi Arabia, he had the DNF, so he automatically loses points for that. Is he going to continue to get screwed over by safety cars and reliability issues, and Ocon's just going to breeze through everything? I'm not convinced that's going to happen. Obviously, thinking of Australia, Alonso in Australia, he was so close to like putting on potentially top row, potentially pole, maybe more realistically third or fourth. It's kind of hard to tell. We'll never know, is the bottom line. But Alonso, he was on fire, and I think he got some rotten luck in Australia. Interestingly, Alonso came out after the race in Australia and actually said, this is a quote from him: 20 races to go, and in some of them I will be super lucky, I guess. And I don't know if this is just like the whole cumulative variance argument thing, of whether that actually is true or not. I don't know. But surely Alonso can't continue this run of luck. Surely he's going to come back up. He's not going to be producing points per million per race of 0.03. Like, it's just not going to happen. He's going to bring it up. But is he going to bring it up as high value as what Ocon is producing at 1.61? Now, that I'm not convinced is going to happen. I think Alonso will definitely bring this up, and he'll probably end up hovering much higher value. Let's quickly go back to last season. Where was he? Alonso here. So he is producing 0.85, so it's still not great. It's less than 1, not great, but it's not bad. And you can see Ocon last year was slightly better at 1.08. So Ocon last season has the points per million value over Alonso, but there was quite a big price difference, so it's kind of hard to, they're much closer together in price this season, so it's kind of hard to judge that. But yeah, I think Ocon is screaming value. As to whether he can maintain this value, 1.61, that's really, really, really good. But again, if we quickly pop back to last year, we look at the best driver for value last year, it was Lando Norris, and he was producing 1.7. 1.7 points per million per race. And then around him, we had like the likes of Verstappen at 1.54, Sainz at 1.37. So 1.7 was the best of last season, and Ocon's currently at 1.61. So what's to say that Ocon can't just continue this? Like, who says that there's something bad around the corner for Ocon to drag that points per million per race down again? Why can't Ocon continue this? He's a good driver. He's proven his proven ability. He's a Grand Prix winner as of last season. I know there's a lot of things going his way that race in Hungary, which led to him, out in front. But he still won the race. Like, he's got some pedigree to him now. He's been in F1 for a little while, and I don't see why his points per million should drop too dramatically anytime soon. So I think that's a strong argument to have Ocon on the team. Another strong argument I think for Ocon is he's in the past he's done well as in the wet, and it's looking like there's potential for rain this weekend, especially in qualification. I don't know about Saturday and Sunday so much, especially not Saturday, but Sunday there might be some rain. I think definitely Friday we will likely see some rain, possibly during qualifying. And Ocon's proved that he's good in the wet, so I think it'll maybe benefit him. I'm not saying Alonso can't drive in the rain, let's face it, but Ocon seems to have that little edge about him when it comes to rain. Just in looking back in past his previous history of what's gone on during wet races, and I think that'll serve him well potentially this weekend if there is rain. Last year in Imola, Ocon was superior to Alonso. In qualifying, he actually out-qualified Alonso. I don't know if there's a bigger story to this, which I've forgotten, but he out-qualified Alonso by half a second, or almost half a second. That's huge. And then in the race, he beat Alonso as well, just by a single position. So I think they're like a second separating them. So not too much to split between them in the actual race itself. I believe, Alonso finished in P10 and Ocon finished in P9 in Imola last year. So not too bad considering the Alpine wasn't super competitive last season. But that half a second better in qualifying is really interesting. It tells me that Ocon is quite possibly the favourite between the two going into this weekend in Imola. So that's another sort of bonus point for Ocon there. Looking further ahead, Ocon is almost on a streak as well, because he'll be on a race streak if he finishes in the top 10 in Imola. He will then be on a race streak, which is a bonus 10 points for Miami. Similarly, Alonso will be on a qualifying streak. If Alonso qualifies in the top 10 in Imola, then he will be on a qualifying streak, which is an extra 5 points going into Miami. So they both have potential streaks for the following race if they do well enough in Imola. So looking further ahead, that's potentially saving a substitution, because especially if Ocon, for example, is up has that 10 points up for grabs, I think that's a lot of people are going to bring him in over Alonso anyway. So why not kind of get ahead of that and bring him in now, so it saves you a substitution going into Miami. That's another way to look at it. But yeah, I mean, Alonso being on a qualifying streak at +5 is still nothing to be sniffed at. But I think overall Ocon there is potentially higher upside going on to the race after Imola as well. So yeah, I think there's so much to think about. There's lots of pros and cons. Looking at the data, the numbers straight up, it looks like absolute no question Ocon is the one to go for. And I am currently leaning towards Ocon for all the reasons I've said so far. However, I really do think that Alonso has like a special performance around the corner, and I don't know if it's just me thinking, oh, he's had so much bad luck, he's due a performance. I don't know if that's the right way to think about it, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen at some point. Alonso's going to have a really good race. I just feel it. But as to whether it's going to come in Imola, that seems to be a bit of a gamble, and I think probably the sensible thing is to go for Ocon. But we will see what happens in free practice 1. Obviously Friday, free practice 1 ahead of qualifying is going to be really important, because it's the only practice session we are going to see before the deadline. So stay very closely tuned to what happens in free practice 1. Take into account everything I've said in this video as well, and any other ideas that you have as to why you think Ocon or Alonso might be better or worse than each other. Or maybe you don't want either of them and you don't even know why you're watching this video. Who knows? But yeah, keeping a close eye on FP1. In FP1, if Ocon is ahead of Alonso by any stretch, basically, I'm definitely going with Ocon. If Alonso is ahead of Ocon in FP1, then it's going to give me some real pause for thought, and I think I'll have to sort of reevaluate at that time. But at the moment, I'm leaning towards Ocon. And yeah, that's what I've got to say on it at the moment. I hope you found this interesting, just to try to go through my thought process as to who to pick in my team this week, for this weekend. And like I say, good luck this weekend, whoever you pick. I hope they bring in home the points, and I'll see you later. Thanks very much for listening. Bye bye.